2023 has been a big year for Pikmin thanks to the release of Pikmin 4. Now, Pikmin 4 might be the best game I played this year and is a personal favorite of mine, but good lord, did that game take a long time to come out. We've been hearing about that game since 2015, you know what I'm saying? Needless to say, it feels like there's never enough Pikmin, even in a year where we actually got a Pikmin game. But at the same time, Pikmin 2 ROM hacks have really started to pick up momentum. Now what you gotta understand about me is that I love Pikmin 2 and I have been very impressed with the work that goes into the ROM hacks for these things. They're adding new collectibles, new enemies, new Pikmin, new worlds altogether, and some quality of life improvements as well. Pikmin 251 was 250 kinds of fun. Pikmin 269 almost made me lose my 260 mind. Colossal Caverns turned the game into an enormous seed-generated torture chamber, which is my idea of a fun time. Now, the caves are an interesting element of Pikmin 2. I didn't actually know this until a couple of years ago, but people don't actually like them very much. I think in my case, I really appreciated the caves because they're a nice change of pace from the time commitment you have on the surface, where you have to do as much as possible before the sun goes down. Time does not move when you're underground, meaning that you no longer have to worry about the end of the day stuff. They're also a lot more dense and have a lot of stuff to find. The trade-off is some of the most evil, punishing, bastard RNG you will ever see in a Pikmin game. Bombs will just drop out of the sky when you least expect it, and whatever plan you were cooking up a second earlier, you have to abandon it immediately so you don't get demolished. This kind of thing happens a lot in Pikmin 2, and people hate it for that reason. Me, on the other hand, I kinda like it. You start running around by yourself to set off traps and bombs before bringing your entire squad in there. The chaos demands an element of premeditation and methodical action. That's how I see it. And the first thing that dies is always the plan. But for better or worse, a lot of people just don't see it that way, which is why somebody actually made Pikmin 2 Caveless Edition. Yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's Pikmin 2, but without the caves. I got a couple of requests for this one, so I figured I'd give it a whirl, and I'll never pass up another opportunity to play any version of Pikmin 2. The gimmick of the hack is just what it is, Pikmin 2 with no caves whatsoever. It's not the exact same game to a T, it ends up being more of a brief, rearranged version of the original where the entirety of the game is played on the surface. Playing through this hack almost feels like playing a special secret challenge mode level that you would unlock after 100%ing the game or something. The treasures have been placed in all kinds of different locations from their original counterparts, and many treasures that used to be in caves now appear on the surface. There are 50-ish treasures to find versus the 201 in the original. That would have been too many if it's limited to the surface. One thing that's cool is that you can actually get a white onion that allows you to spawn more white Pikmin the same way you propagate the other ones. It does make sense, all the white flowers were underground in the original game, so this is the best way to rectify that given the context. It is worth noting that there is an option to spawn purple Pikmin in the game, although the developer of the mod recommends against it since purple Pikmin kinda break the game if you know how to use them. That, and the original game has this dumbass treasure called the Doomsday Apparatus, and it requires the strength of 1,000 Pikmin to carry it back to the thing, forcing you to propagate 100 purples. Thankfully, they would never make a mistake like that again. The game also rebalanced various things, like how the white Pikmin do even less damage than usual, and I may or may not be imagining it, but I think some bosses seem to take more hits than they used to, which is fine by me. As much as I enjoy the cave system in the original game, I actually did enjoy this hack. The rearrangement of challenges and ideas makes the game refreshing, and it's a relatively brief game, which is also very nice to see. It's nice to not have a massive time commitment. You unlock all the different Pikmin types within the first 2 levels, which opens the game up enough very early on, meaning that the barriers to collecting all the treasures are removed pretty quickly, which makes for a game with a quicker pace. I think between the consistent and straightforward design of specifically predetermined treasure layouts and the lack of crushing RNG RNG, the game lends itself a lot better to speedrunning. Once I finished it, I was actually wondering if I could have gotten a better time and really labbed out my Dan Doherty skills. If there's one thing that I cannot ignore about Pikmin 2's caves, it would be that it is hell for speedrunner types, because it is a complete and total crapshoot with respect to where the enemies or even the treasures show up on the map. So even though I'll always enjoy Pikmin 2, there is definitely an angle to argue in favor of a caveless version, and if you are an appreciator of that angle, this is the game for you. And that is where I leave it for today. But don't forget to drop by tomorrow. And I know it's Christmas time, so everyone's eating cookies and fruitcakes, but remember to get some actual fruit in there to balance it out. Maybe an apple or something. I've heard they're supposed to be really good for you. Merry Christmas, everyone!